Hey, what's up? This is Chosen. Had a video planned where I was going to talk about the White Dryad guaranteed event and some of the polling over on the community tab of the channel, but then Plarium drops a Void Legendary as the next fusion, and not only that, but they announced that they're going to be changing fusions, doing this one in a different way. So I want to cover this for you and give you some context because we do not see Void fusions hardly ever. It's like the third time or something. Out of like the 50 fusion fragment type of events, we've only had like 3 Voids coming down, you know, the Torments and stuff like that are fusions. So it only happens about once a year, and we're getting a different method to do the fusion. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm sure most of you are familiar with how fusions typically work. It's usually like the permanent rosin fusion that we see here in the portal. What's going to happen is you get the rares from the events in the game, sometimes maybe an epic from something like a summon rush, but usually you use 4 rares to fuse into an epic, and then you fuse those epics into a legendary, and that's how Plarium has done it since the very beginning. But what they're going to be doing now is they're going to be having fragment events for each epic. So we're gonna do like 4 different fragment summons, and hopefully you get 100 fragments to summon those epics. And then the hybrid part of it is you're going to then, after you get the fragments for the epics, you're going to use those epics that you summon to do a normal old school type fusion. So they're basically switching from acquiring rares via events to acquiring fragments for epics via events, and then you level up and ascend those 4 different epics into the event legendary. At least that's how I think it's going to work based on what Plarium is posting to us behind the scenes and my interpretation of what they're saying. But if it ends up being a little bit different than that in terms of how it functions, obviously I would keep you in the loop. And we're not going to know how hard these fragments are to acquire or how difficult it's going to be to finish the event and all that. But now let's go ahead and pull up the Fusion Champions kit and talk about how good we think it's going to be and all that stuff. So, okay, it's going to be a Void Legendary in the Sylvan Watcher. It's going to be the 3rd Void Legendary already for the Sylvan Watchers, which is honestly kind of crazy. I mean, you've got some of the legacy launch factions like Ogren Tribes has 2 Void Legendaries, and one of them is recent. They had 1 Void Legendary for like 3.5 years until they got a new one here. But Sylvan Watchers just launched their faction crypt very recently, and they're already getting a 3rd Void Legendary. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up the next Fusion Champions kit, and as always, it's a little bit hard to super accurately grade this champion because Plarium does not give us the base stats or the multipliers or things like that, so we can't really see things like, does it have 110 speed or 95? I mean, that's a big deal when you're grading a champion. Does it have 28,000 HP or 20,500? So yeah, grade could change a little bit, but I do want to at least talk about the kit and give you my thoughts on that. So first up, for the default A1, we've got increased the value of all shield buffs on this champion by 25%. Also increase the value of any shield buffs on the ally with the lowest HP by 25%. I like it. It's some utility on an A1, so very nice. You're getting 2 different shields, one on this champion, and that shield does lend itself to this champion maybe being usable for solo type clears where you bring like food and you're farming the dragon or something. If it had a way to do reliable damage, that is the kind of ability you're looking for on the A1, maybe versus something like a Scarab where you get like some self-shielding and some self-sustain there with the default. But then you're also going to be helping out with the ally with the lowest HP. Going to be great for something like you're trying to 3-star faction wars. Then we've got an A2, 3-turn cooldown when booked, so that's good. Let's write that. And then we've got an AoE that places a shield buff on all allies equal to 30% of this champion's max HP. That's good. I like it when it says this because that means you can actually build for it and scale with it with good gear. When it says like the ally's HP, it's, you know, that ally might be attack scaling, so it's a lot less valuable. So I like that it says this. And then it's going to be a 2-turn shield and decreases the cooldown of all allies skills except this champion, but that's really, really good. On a 3-turn cooldown, you get both tankiness and lowering of cooldown to help you cycle through better. That is really, really cool. I think on this one, I've got to go with an A. Lowering cooldown is becoming a little bit more common than it used to be, but it's still scarce enough that this is super cool. Okay, then we've got an A3 that books down to a 4-turn cooldown, place unkillable buff on all allies for 2 turns. I like that. It's kind of like a Helicath type of thing where it's going to enable different compositions. Also places a taunt, which is not very common in game, and a shield on this champion for 2 turns. So we are getting shield placed on every single ability. The default, the A2, and the A3. I guess maybe not the passive, but anyway, we're getting a shield on A1, A2, A3, and then we're also going to be basing it on the champion's max HP again, so that's great. I like this. It's more shielding, more toughness, and the utility of taunt and unkillable. I'm gonna go with like an A- here on the A3. I think it's really good. And you know what? I'm gonna bump up the A2 to an A+. I think that just brings too much utility. If that's an A-, the A2 with bringing tankiness and lowering cooldown, and it scales with this champion's HP, I gotta put that up to an A+. When attacked under a shield, we're on the passive now, is gonna have a 50% chance of increasing the cooldown. It does both sides of it. It does lowering of cooldown and increasing of cooldown for both sides of the spectrum. Wow, okay. Occurs once per attack whenever an ally's HP drops below 20%. Increase the damage dealt by that ally by 20%. Could be an opportunity to pair with something like a Leorius. Leorius really scales up his damage and has that kind of self-sustain when he gets super low HP, and then could absolutely nuke even harder. So, wow, I mean, this is a passive. It's not even an ability. So, like, how is this not an A+? I feel like it's like just passively going to be increasing cooldowns and buffing up a little bit of damage on stuff like the Aureus at like super strong. It's just a passive thing you're getting while you're playing without even having to spend a cooldown or a turn. So I definitely like that. And then the aura right here of ally HP in all battles by 30%. So when we kind of, you know, grade these and average them into one grade, we're getting something like an A right here overall for a champion. So gonna be a very solid fusion fragment type of hybrid event right here, as long as it's realistic to go after, because we're getting a sturdy champion that is void and also has a shield that can scale off of his own HP while decreasing cooldowns of allies and increasing cooldowns of enemies, while getting targeted shields onto allies that have low HP and they need it the most. So as long as the base stats or something don't throw us for some wild loop, like if he comes out with 82 base speed or 16,000 HP or something weird, as long as there isn't some weird outlier, he's going to be a very solid fusion event, I believe. And it's a little bit crazy because we just had the Newt event, and he is also an amazing champion. So a lot of people really wanted to spend a lot of resources going after that, and Plarium is not going easy on us. They are bringing out the thunder again with another event that we really got to dive into. Which, by the way, I should have said this sooner, but this event is going to be starting on August 3rd, which is next Thursday. So yeah, definitely looks interesting, and as always, for stuff like this, I will host a poll over on the community tab of this channel so that you can vote and voice your opinion and your thoughts compared to mine, and then I will interact with you in future content where we try to make sure that we're keeping accurate context on the new fusion coming Emic Trunkheart. And by the way, before we take off, you do want to know about this weekend coming up. We are going to be getting 2x voids going on, so be careful with your shards there. And I thought I would see the White Dryad event, unless I'm going crazy. I don't see it yet, but it should be coming. I mean, they said Wednesday we're going to get that guarantee. Maybe it starts when the guarantee here for Wyronon ends. So maybe this is going to start in like 3.5 hours or so. We'll see the guaranteed White Dryad, and I may be able to upload a video later today talking about that event to give you some context on the community polling and all of that as well. We'll do a dedicated discussion, but we kind of got thrown for a loop needing to do a video about the fusion going on. Is there anything worth talking about in the shop while we're here? Shop has been kind of underwhelming in the last couple months, to be honest with you. We haven't seen the 101% mini mix packs forever, which is super unfortunate. Mini pack, huh? Okay, we had mini mix pack and mini pack. I love how they change the name of the claimable pack every time, because they kind of want to like hide it and make you click through, which is super interesting psychology tactic there. We already went over that. Not great. Vengeance coins pack. Yeah, so nothing super noteworthy in the shop today, unfortunately. So, okay, I appreciate all of you, and let me know your thoughts over on the community tab and down below in the comment section on your opinions of the new fusion and how Plarium is changing the events and all of that good stuff. Remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy daily Raid Shadow Legends content. I'll see you soon in the next video. Thanks. Peace.